Hello, everybody. What's up? I am Mio Santana, as you guys may already know. And today I'm really excited to be kicking off a very special series that I created called Divine Masculine Conversations. And so what I've done is I've collected a series of amazing men in my community to sit down with me and talk about the divine masculine, talk about how they access it in their lives, where they got to where they are. And the goal is to be able to give you a really great view of what the divine masculine is, what it looks like in real life, how it shows up, how it carries itself, and how it interacts with its community. So I've been doing my work. I started Divine Journey 3 years ago. Now in June. June is my 3-year anniversary. So woohoo! And I have been working with women and men for all this time, doing workshops and coaching. And one of the biggest things that I have found in my work is that women want to understand men and men want to understand women. And I work primarily with the feminine and masculine energies. And so when you start to learn about the feminine and masculine energies, you start to really gain knowledge and wisdom to support you in creating harmony in your life. And there's such a freedom that comes with that. And so this series that I'm doing, starting today with Ernesto Mandowsky, is going to be about bridging those gaps between men and women, but also creating a space where people can learn what divine masculine really looks like. Because my belief is that the feminine energy is currently in resurgence in our world, and the masculine is ready now for healing. And so we are really healing all the patriarchy, all the things that have happened in the last 2,000 to 4,000 years. And we are creating a new earth, a new reality of harmony and balance and connection. And so my goal is to foster that and to continue creating that space for people and spreading that knowledge and that wisdom about the energies and what they're about. So starting today and for the next 2 weeks, you're going to be seeing amazing men come on here, as including Ernesto that we'll have today in just a few minutes. Amazing men that are going to come on every day with me to talk for an hour of their time. They're giving an hour of their time to sit down with me and to talk about their lives, what they're up to, how they got to where they are today, why they do what they do, what they learned along the way. So many questions to ask. So if you have questions for these divine masculine men, I'm going to be giving you opportunities to ask questions. If you want to learn more about the divine masculine, put your questions in the comments. Also, I'll be posting stories and giving you the opportunity to post questions there. So a lot of opportunities for questions. So in just a minute, Ernesto is going to be joining me on this live. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. We are just getting geared up here. Oh, hey guys, I see Rise and Succeed is here. I see Alona Pamplona, Martha Camps, AC Synergy. What's up, guys? Welcome. Terry Wydick, you guys are in for a treat right now. We are going to dive in with Ernesto Mandowsky, who is going to talk about the divine masculine. We're going to break it down, but we're also going to talk about him and his journey to get to where he is today. Every single man that I've chosen to be on this, let's say, panel of men that I'm going to be interviewing for the next 2 weeks, all demonstrate in their life daily what it is to be in the divine masculine. And so just by mere existing as they are already portraying and embodying and living into what the divine masculine is. And you guys are going to get a sneak peek and a inside view, an inside let's say, taste of what it really looks like and what it is. So I'm super excited about this. Let's see if, hi Martha. Oh my God, I went to school with Martha. Hi, beautiful. Mika, the curious Mika is here. Beautiful. Terry, what's up? Beautiful. I just spent some time with her in Vegas. Amazing. What's up, Alan? AC Synergy is here. So glad to be here. You guys are going to love this conversation. So let me just invite our guest to speak. Oh, good. We already have some questions coming in from stories. It's perfect. So we'll look at those in a second. And let me see how I can add invite to join Here we go. Ernesto. So we'll just start in a minute. And while we wait for Ernesto to join, you know, I just want to talk a little bit more about why I was inspired to do this. So, oh, there he is. I was just going to keep rambling.
I made it.
Hi. Yes, you made it in the interwebs. We made it happen.
I made it happen.
Hi, Ernesto. How are you today?
I'm feeling great. How are you doing?
Awesome. I am fantastic. A beautiful day to be alive. I'm so grateful that you came on and are giving us time from your very busy schedule to support and be of service to the community and just talk about your story and where you came from and what you're up to. So I thank you so much for being here.
Of course. My first time, so still a little nervous, but that's okay.
Your first live. Oh my gosh, I feel so honored. Yes, we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. So I see Yanni joining. Hi, Yanni. Hi, Jess. Jess is in my love program, my self-love program right now. Beautiful. Awesome. PR, Grow Love. Awesome.
Rita's a friend of
mine
from New York.
Oh, good. Oh, awesome. Yay. Okay, great. So, huh?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say welcome everyone. I had just gotten on a couple minutes early to kind of preface what we're doing and stuff and talk about why I got so inspired to do this. And I'm just so honored and grateful that you decided to come on. Live newbies, you're in good hands with me. Oh, you're in good hands, they say. Yes, it's all about having fun. So I always like to start these conversations with just giving the viewers a little bit about you. So if you could just talk about you and what you're up to, sure. Just a little background about who you are and what you're up to.
Sure. I'm from Miami, and
nice.
I just recently moved back. I
didn't realize, because I knew you lived in New York. I didn't realize that you were actually from Miami when we spoke.
Yeah,
so knowing that you're like we're like the last of the Mohicans, so that's awesome. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
representing.
I was raised here, went to school in Gainesville, moved to New York, had a few jobs there, then moved to DC, then moved to Orlando, and kind of the pandemic brought me home, where it all began. I wanted to create a career in restaurants. And so I kind of took an adventure to work in restaurants, but combine my interests with engineering in the restaurant world. And, it's difficult. How do you combine restaurants and engineering? And so I had to find a way to kind of do that. So I went to New York, one of the biggest restaurant cities in the country. And through lots of adventure and trials and tribulations, I worked in restaurants, I worked in startups, I worked in big companies, and finally the pandemic kind of brought me back here, back to Miami, where I'm not working in restaurants anymore.
Yes. Okay. So I want to get into that. But so you studied engineering, right? What was your degree?
It was systems engineering.
Systems engineering. So that's like your thing. That's like your hat.
Yeah.
So you're in New York, the New York restaurant scene doesn't happen, doesn't work out. You come back to Miami, and then now tell us about what you're doing now, because I think what you're doing now is incredible, by the way. So just give it in your own words, and then I'll embellish it if I can.
Thank you. Yeah, what I noticed in my experience in restaurants and every business, like businesses use a lot of different tools. Like they're using like all sorts of software and programs, and businesses are complicated and people are complicated, and when you look at our lives, like we just have so many things going on, and we use notes, and we use Trello, and we use Google Drive, and we use all these different tools.
And Zoom and Calendly.
Everything. And basically what I do now is I help people integrate all of those different tools in a way to make things simpler so that they can focus on creating whatever it is they're creating, whether you're creating a divine masculine movement, or you're a cookie company, or you're a Chinese medicine doctor, or a salsa shoe company. These are a few clients that I work with. Like they're all trying to create something. And so I kind of help people create. I help people create by simplifying their lives.
Oh, Andrew just joined in. He's going to be a Divine Masculine conversation too. You know him
Oh
from
yeah,
Miami
of
Bane and
course.
everything.
Hell yeah. Hey
Awesome.
Drew, what's
Welcome.
up?
So guys, if you have any questions for the Divine Masculine, please put them in the chat. We will be answering questions in a little while once we get through some of our original questions and getting to know Ernesto. So Ernesto was just telling us a little bit about how he ended up doing what he's doing and what he's doing now. So you help businesses get it all organized, get it together. So what is it that you created? Because you created something really phenomenal that I want everybody to know about.
So the book or the movie?
No, the
The
actual, like,
Notion? Yeah.
the platform.
So there's a
Yeah.
platform called Notion out there. Many businesses use it in a way that suits them. And I've taken the platform and created a container to put all of your goals, all of your projects, your tasks, your people, your clients, your notes. I basically put it all in one place. So you essentially have your business in a box in one place.
Oh, wait 1 second. I have a comment from Martha. She says to post a live. So the live is not going to be posted. So to get the recording of this video, go onto my link tree in my bio and put your email in so that you can get the recording of this interview. Great question, Martha. Thank you so much. And you'll get all the interviews. All right. So go ahead. So Notion. So this platform.
Basically, I shaped it in a way to allow people to put all of their goals, all of their projects, all of their tasks, all of their people, their clients, their partners, their vendors, everyone in their business, all the notes that they're taking in different meetings, all of the content that they're putting out there, and basically keeping track of it in one place, not a million places, not in text messages, not in your notes app, not in, the app you can't even find anymore. So I basically have simplified it for the entrepreneur.
For people like me. Yeah.
For people like
awesome.
you.
And for entrepreneurs out there.
For all the creators out there.
Absolutely. And you wrote a book. So you talk about cross-pollination. And I love that because I feel like that's similar. It's very synergistic with the work that I do with the feminine and masculine energies. I feel that I'm doing a cross-pollination between the two energies and between male and female. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lot of healing that happens when that occurs, and that there's a lot of connection that happens. And so the fact that you're doing the same thing in business. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I also was talking with my friend Andrew, who's also on here. He's someone who I think embodies a lot of the opposite of what I'm creating. I take this masculine role and create this structure and create these systems and processes. And I asked him what is the role or what is the complement of that? And when he says, when you create containers to surrender and allow things to happen, serendipity to happen, that's kind of the beautiful complement to what I'm doing. I think, what I do is not necessarily like push and drive people to keep going and going, but for when the serendipity does happen, when you surrender and the universe does present you with opportunities, you just know where to put it. So it's all in one place. So it's kind of like this beautiful yin yang between, I think, the structure and letting the serendipity fall into the structure that helps people be successful.
Amazing. Yes. Being prepared, having your intention and being prepared. So when the opportunity does arrive, you can receive it.
Exactly.
Beautiful. And not forcing it, not forcing the outcome,
right?
Which is funny because that's one of the questions that we had from one of the viewers, Fat Belly, who asked, how do you draw the line between toxic masculinity and divine masculinity? And I think one of those is, yes, Andrew, that's it. Andrew's going to be on next week, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to join in for that live as well. But she asked, what's the difference? And I think one of the differences is that the force is not necessarily power. And we get them collapsed sometimes. And we think that we have to force outcomes and force scenarios and force our career and force our lives. And so maybe we could start with that question. So how have you navigated that?
Yeah, with so an interesting play on that question, toxic masculinity versus divine masculinity. I was so focused on, I think it's similar when you like create such intense focus in one area of your life. Like I was so focused on career and I wasn't focused on other parts of my life. And so when you just drive in that one area, you know, you don't allow for the other part, the surrender, the beauty, the serendipity to kind of come in. And so when I think about like toxic masculinity, you know, at its prime, I think the stereotypical toxic man is like the Wall Streeter that has his suit and he's just crushing 17 hours at work, and then he comes out and he goes to the club and he rips shots and does drugs and does it all over again. I mean, I don't know if that's toxic masculinity or just toxic way of life, but like that's just only focusing on like that go, 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 go mentality. So I think, I don't know if there is a line per se, but I think just by allowing to, you know, have space in your life, like to meditate and to do some of the restorative things is what help define where the line is. I don't think there's ever really a line being drawn, but you have to use it for context, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. And so when we talk about cross-pollination, because I want people to hear about your book because I think it's amazing. So tell us a little bit about your book and how that came to be.
So as I was in the restaurant world, I was working and, you know, I was the spreadsheet guy. I was the numbers, the analyst, and I'd work with the chefs, and the joke would be, oh, I don't know technology. I don't know technology, if only someone taught me. And so I said, oh, I'm going to write a book teaching people about technology. And so I started writing this book, and I was writing and life was happening and I was switching jobs and I was taking new roles, and it came to a point where I realized like my story, you know, I was writing a book about how people need to take their experiences and bring them into the food industry to like save the food industry. And I realized it's much bigger than the food industry. It's not just the food industry. It's every industry. Like everyone is cross-pollinating. Like we are all bees. The book is called Newbie, and I should have started there. And it's inspired by bees and how bees make honey. And so when bees make honey, they go to different flowers, they extract nectar, they transfer pollen, the flowers reproduce, and then the bees go make honey. And so when you look at our life, like we are all newbies, we're all going to different books, different jobs, conferences, people, we're extracting these insights, and we're learning these lessons and creating this honey that is super unique and special. And it's from that point that we create these new opportunities for ourselves. And so for me, it's restaurants and technology and structure and process. And for you, you know, you bring your background in marketing and now like your interest in spirituality and divine masculinity, and like you're creating with your movement, like everyone is creating these special, unique services that they use to offer the world and create community and create, instead of, you know, being victim of whatever's already out there.
Yeah, or being rigid and like thinking that you have to force things to like, you know, and like maybe you could tell us a little bit about your journey where, because when we talked about it originally, you talked about being in New York and wanting things to be a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And then you finally realized that that wasn't working. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I you know, was.
And hi, Gabby. I love you too. Gabby joined.
I was in New York. I was doing the corporate thing every day, waking up. I was pushing with my job at Deloitte, which is a big consulting company, and I just kept pushing. And I don't know, you just keep getting rejected. I mean, I kept going because I kept getting rejected, but I feel like after you just keep getting rejected, at some point, you just have to like surrender to whatever is going to happen. There was a moment in my job where I was going to be sent somewhere else if another person didn't make a decision, and you know, I just said, screw it. You know, the universe will take care of it, and we'll be fine. I mean, and ultimately, what happened is someone had reached out to me about this new restaurant group that was starting up, complete left field, and it was like my shot into that world. And so the world kind of like started opening up to me.
And so you had worked so hard and like done everything to be here, and things were not just, they just weren't working out. It was like you were getting these no's and these things. Then you get this you know, position or this opportunity that lands on your lap. And then at that point you're like, what came up for you? Remember what you told me? You were like,
Oh, with so I got this position to where, I was always trying to be, I was trying to be an entrepreneur leading up to this point. I think that's what you were alluding to our dinner, and I was
mm-hmm.
going to go around the country, and I was going to talk about my book, and I was super excited about cross-pollination. And ooh, that's a great question. And I was ready to tour the country and speak about my student. And then one day I got this opportunity to like go get another job and work for this company at a dream position. And, I asked like, oh my God, do I go entrepreneur? Like, do I finally go after my dreams, or do I take this dream job? And, after speaking with all my network and thinking about it, like the dream job kind of encapsulated everything with cross-pollination. Like I was going to help this 90-year-old company completely go through its own rebirth. And so ultimately I decided to do that. And I said no to entrepreneurship. But that experience was the thing that led me to my ultimate realization of cross-pollination, about creating your whole fulfilled life. So it's funny how like the universe presents these opportunities to you. And I guess you have to like listen to your gut when it comes to making the decisions.
Yeah, and actually we had a great question come in that was, how's the process of surrender? And so did that play a role for in your journey with what you were just talking about now? How did surrender play a role, if it did?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has it different. I think you really have to be comfortable with like yourself and your body and your gut, and like know that like really deep in your gut and your gut instinct that the decisions you make, you'll feel supported. And it's so easy to get stuck in the fixed mindset, and like that one thing didn't go right, and you like stay fixated on that one thing instead of just letting it pass. And I think a lot of people stay in the fixed mindset. I mean, I'm in a relationship right now with my girlfriend, and I see it every day. Like, are you gonna get annoyed by the fly that's hovering across the room, or like this amazing meal that was prepared, or whatever it is, And
Right.
it's similar but different. Like, surrendering, I think it's hard because people have to be so detached. Yeah, it's like appreciate but detach yourself. You can't stay hooked on the stress of the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or the expectation that you might have.
Yeah, or the expectation, because we have an expectation, and the universe says nah. Like this.
Yep, yep. I love it. Great question out there. So let me ask you this, Ernesto, and this is some of the prep conversation that we had. And there's really never a wrong answer on this. Yeah, Curious Mika says practicing non-attachment. Yes. So what would you define as divine masculine in your own words? Like when you hear that term, what comes up for you?
I think the divine masculine is someone who has the confidence to stand up. I mean, it's several things, but someone who has the confidence to stand up and kind of proudly share what he believes in and what he stands up for, and shares, his intentions, and shares his vulnerabilities as well. It's I think most males don't share their vulnerability, or maybe people don't share their vulnerabilities in general. And like acknowledging their vulnerabilities, and saying like either how they work on them, or being proud about like how they work on themselves, and how they intend to create around it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, you brought up vulnerability and intentions and sharing one's intentions. And I think for those viewers out there who are curious about what the divine masculine is made of, I mean, it's authenticity, it's compassion, it's inclusion, integrity, and also full self-expression.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the man feeling like he can fully express himself, you know, the good, the bad, everything, you know. And so we had a really great question come in through the stories from Fat Belly, who said, and how do you take accountability for your inherent role in the patriarch? Now, this is a loaded question, so we don't have to get so deep into like the history of the patriarch or whatever,
Yeah.
but just in your day to day, like how do you see it come up and how do you take responsibility or accountability for that in your own ways?
I mean, I think that the patriarch is definitely a super loaded, topic that can go a
Yeah, we
million
can do a whole other
directions.
thing on that. Yeah.
But I mean, I think everyone has to, first of all, get smart about what it means. I'm not a subject matter expert, but I know, like, for one thing, like, I've really gotten into composting lately. I like cooking. So I start with my interest, like my passion of food and cooking, and it's like, okay, how can I give back, or, you know, take that topic of the patriarch, how can I, feed Mother Earth through my cooking? And so now I started composting.
Beautiful.
Composting, I find, like, the farmer's market, and that's how you support the small businesses. And I mean, again, it can go in like a million directions, but food, as an example, that's something how I kind of like to give back. One of my clients now is a chef, is a raw vegan chef, and so, I'm like, I choose to work with those clients, and I want to do what I can to really elevate their businesses, and have as many people engage with her, because I think that's a conscious business. A conscious business, a conscious decision, a conscious lifestyle that everyone should kind of cross-pollinate into.
Beautiful. So essentially, you're taking accountability for your patriarchy, for the patriarchy, by being cognizant of your community and giving back and supporting Mother Earth, supporting
Yeah.
the community, supporting those around you, bringing up and empowering those around you.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe is here. Joe Metcalf. He's going to be on the show next week too. Another divine masculine man supporting. Yes, welcome. We're just rolling up our sleeves here on this conversation. So juicy. So giving back to your community, I think that's huge. I think that's a really great answer to that question. And like you said, we can go in so many different directions with it. Hey there, Joe. But you know, you really touched on something really important, which was the next question I was going to ask you, which were, what are some ways that you give back to your community? Because I feel that the divine masculine really, when it's in its divine form, it's really about giving back to the community.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you, besides the ones you already mentioned?
Yeah. With cooking and my clients, like, I joined a group. I joined 2 community groups, one for entrepreneurs and one for creatives. And, I'm kind of taking what I'm a specialist in. Like, I take my honey. I think, what everyone should be doing is taking some of that honey and giving it to the communities, to their lovers, whatever. But specifically, like, with Mammy Made and Creatives for Connection, 2 groups that I've been with.
Mammy Made in the house.
Mammy Made. I've created these Notion pages to help, put everything in one place for all the members to kind of go to one place to see things. With Creators for Connection, something we've done, aside from creating that one place, like, I've put in resources in there for their members. So, like, I recently put together, like, an entire marketing document, like all the different things that you need when building out your marketing stack, like, your automated emails, and like the lead capture and the form and this, and how do you stimulate referrals, and like basically like the whole thing that should be happening to help grow your business. And I think so many people, like, we only know, if you have like 100% of the things of the pie, like, you only know 3% of it, then, like, that you don't know 20% of it, and there's so much, like, that you don't even know that you don't know. So I think
Yes.
if you can take that 3% that like that honey that you have, and share it with your communities, like, that's kind of the money right there. That's really like the the super value add. And of course, like if you can do it in a way like with these tools that I build for people to like scale that impact, because it's not like, it's like you, right? You record a video and it lives in the internet and you can share it with your community. It's how we are all able to kind of like just continuously give from our knowledge base.
Yeah. So essentially, the way that you are giving back to your community as a divine masculine is taking the skills that you already know, taking the skill set, the engineering background, the internet, the technical aspect of your knowledge, and creating platforms for people and ways for people to expand and grow and empower themselves,
Yeah.
empower communities, empower networks.
Yes.
And so that is really, you know, the essence of the divine masculine. You know, it really is about taking your the fullest self-expression, you know, your fullest expression of yourself, and opening that up and sharing it with the community, and allowing the community to grow around you. So that's super powerful.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that leads us to the next question, which is someone of your wrote in. I think this came from the Curious Mika. She asked, how could modern life look if more men were working on balancing their energy?
Pretty majestic.
So, yes. Okay, so tell us about how you balance your energy, or even if you know, what that looks like for you, you know, like what comes up for you when she asks that, and what's your take on it?
For me, I mean, I do breath work, I meditate, I do some of that stuff to kind of, you know, decompress. Definitely males. I think everyone needs to do a lot of these practices, because, you know, I actually I was in a relationship in the past with a woman who was not divine masculine. She was great. It was a great relationship. Ultimately, it didn't work out, but you know, she was very go. I didn't feel like we had some of the like that restorative, regenerative practices.
That flow,
which kind of like led to the burnout. But either way, like, how could society look? I mean, that's it, kind of like not the movies, like, you know, Dreamlands. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work. I mean, I think the conscious community has kind of grown like exponentially in the past few years. And so we'll see what it's like. I mean, people will be nicer. I think people will be more understanding, more farmers market, more inclusive. But of course, like our world today, suffering from a lot of mental health stress. So it's crazy. Like, as much as the spiritual conscious community has been rising, so has the other side of it. So I don't know. I guess we all have to just do our part to continue spreading the divine movement.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that you mentioned that, because it can seem daunting and overwhelming when you look around you at what's happening in the world. And a lot of people are like, what do I do? How can I help? What can I do? And I always tell people the best thing you can do is work from within. Exactly. Is transform yourself inside you, and that will permeate out of you. Because once you're transformed within, like you are doing in your life, you're helping communities, you're helping people grow, you're helping people expand, because you are whole and complete within yourself.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned breath work. So how did you come across breath work? What was your first experience with it? And why did you decide to incorporate it into your life?
My coach brought me into it, and he's like, all right, we're going to do the ego eradicator. And I'm just like, what the F is the ego eradicator? And he like pulls me in, and he's
awesome.
like, all right, like put your hands up, and we're just going to do like deep breathing for like 6 minutes straight. And I'm like doing it, and my shoulders are like freaking tensing up, and it's like my whole body is sweating, and I'm standing on a prana mat also. So it's like a super duper, like transformative, like body shaking experience. And we finished, and I was like, wow, what the fuck just happened? And I felt great. And I don't know if it was the prana mat, if it was the breath. And I'm like, dude, how does that happen? And he's like, it's just breath work. And it was so, like, my body was shaking. And it felt kind of like I was in ecstasy. And Yes, we should totally do 1 minute breath work. Only if our hands are up though, and we're like really doing it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So your body was shaking, but in a good way, I'm imagining.
Yeah, in a good way, in a really good way. And I like started sweating and tingling, and it was really cool. And then we've done a few variations of different versions of breath work and grounding practices, and visualizations of receiving energy from the sky and the ground and grounding cords and all sorts of different things. And it's been super fascinating. I mean, at first you might think of it and be like, yo, this guy's crazy, or like, what the hell? But I mean, it works.
What does it do for you? What does it open up for you in your life?
It just, I stopped thinking, stop analyzing. I'm a spreadsheet guy, so I'm like always thinking about numbers and dependencies and logic and this and that and conditional actions. And I think in like decision trees, I don't know if you've seen like what a decision tree looks like, and you just start like thinking about the ground and the sky and the earth and the light, and it's just
the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop. Yeah. So this gives you a moment to presence yourself, to be in the present moment.
Yeah.
To center yourself.
Exactly.
Beautiful. And so that actually balances you out, that restores you, right? You were talking about that restorative aspect of things.
Right.
It's not always about go, go, go.
Exactly.
It's about restoring yourself as well. And I think that's really important for viewers out there to understand that if you want to step into the divine masculine, divine feminine aspects, it is about restoring yourself and giving back to yourself, filling your own cup. So then you could be more for others.
Yes.
It seems counterintuitive. It seems selfish. I have to give to myself before I give to others. But it actually is beneficial for all, because when you give to yourself, you're able to give more to those around you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And so, we talked about like the stigmas and like the old paradigms that, are around like men and what men are about. And you mentioned that you're in a relationship, in a serious relationship with a woman. So if you'd indulge us in, how have you navigated your relationship with these stigmas, and how have you been able to overcome some of these stigmas that are on men, and how you live your life, and how you, pretty much carry your relationship with your significant other?
Yeah. I would say, well, I read a book. I think I had written it to you. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. I read it early 2020.
Beautiful. Guys out there, beautiful book for you guys out there. Take notes.
Amazing book. Girls out there, check it out.
Yeah, women out there too.
Make your man read it.
Yes.
You'll thank all of us later. So I think, that really got me into the idea of like standing in your power and being confident in who you are. And, my partner, it was less about navigating stigma. The title is called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. So my girlfriend, at the beginning, it was less like dealing with stigmas of man and just dealing with preconceived notions. Like it's kind of crazy. Like, for example, I'm friends with a lot of my former partners, and that's not common at all in anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it's like dealing with like those stigmas. That's less like a masculine and feminine thing. That's just like, that's a weird stigma to be dealing with. But a lot of it, how do you overcome some of these stigmas, is just through a lot of conversation, and not
open conversation,
not like fixated, stressful conversation, but just like understanding, and like, this is who I am, and these are some of the things about me, and it doesn't mean anything, because that's I think what we do a lot. There's how things happen, and how like our brains want us to interpret how they happen to like confirm all of our biases. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of like the biggest thing. It's you have to have like this nurturing approach, this like nurturing reminder of your discussions, and knowing that there's like nurturing love at the center is, I think, the key in all communications.
Yes, having that be the foundation. Yeah. So then when your come from is going to be one of open and vulnerability and connection.
Exactly.
And so how have you navigated overcoming some of these stigmas or things? You said you're friends with all your exes. So, that is applaudable, because you know, not many people do that, you know, and so you are able to create and keep connection in a healthy way with people. So what are some other like maybe paradigms you've shifted about men and how you carry yourself?
Um, I'm just trying to think because I mean I've been on this journey for over a decade. Like when I was in college and in high school, like I was super shy and like I would see the toxic masculine. I'd see all the toxic masculinity, the men like you know hooking up at the club, and I would just think to myself like, oh my god, I want that. Like I like wanted that. I was like desiring it, and you know it got to a point like halfway through college where I realized like, okay, no, I don't want that. I don't want like the frat boy situation.
How did you realize that? How did you come to that realization?
I don't know. I started to just realize like it's all about like this. I actually read this book and another book. It's called The Game by Neil Strauss. And
Oh yeah, that's a famous one with men.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's famous for the wrong reasons though. It's famous
Right.
because it's all about like picking up and like knocking on chicks and approaching them and you know eating the
Yeah.
lines. And like at the end of the book, it's the brilliance. He was like, yeah, it's not even about the sex. It's not even about the hooking up. Like it's like pickup is all about developing the confidence in who you are and standing up for yourself and going after what you want in life. Of course, like he realizes this at the end of the story, which is most heroes' journey, how they go. But you know, after I read that, I realized like I've been so focused on like these frat boys hooking up with chicks, and I was forgetting to acknowledge like my own accomplishments. Like I was a leader in multiple student organizations. Like I had internships. I was like doing really well. And I think a lot of people like we like we focus on the external. We like look at the other person's Instagram profile. And we're like, oh, we just keep doing that at the expense of our own happiness. And so that was like a huge paradigm shift for me because yeah, I think the toxic man maybe just wants to one up the other man and like hook up with the next hottest girl or whatever it is. And it's like, no, just appreciate where you are and where you're at and like what you've accomplished. And that's kind of like that is I think a path for growth.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. And so when we talk about, you know, like that you were saying how like the game and like that's, you know, being a man, I can imagine. I'm not a man, but I work with a lot of men. I do men's workshops on the divine masculine and feminine. And, you know, it tends to be like that whole scenario that you described of the frat boy picking up the chicks and the Wall Street guy who's, you know, working 17-hour days. And, you know, this tends to be the thread like that's sewn into society
Yeah.
that we grow up into. It's almost like a programming that we receive at an early age
Yeah.
where it's like, this is what a man looks like and this is what he should do and this is how he should be. And so you were able to see and reflect on that and notice that, okay, that's not what I want to be, you know, and that's not what I want to do. And you kind of started paving your own path. And hey, Veg, we still have a few people joining in. You started paving your own path and you've created a life for yourself where you're living a fully fulfilled express life. You are in a serious relationship. You are giving back to your community. You're an entrepreneur. You're creating, you know, so like, you know, what are some of the new messages that you'd like women to know about men and what men are up to now, especially, you know, from the men that you know in your environment and around you as well, including yourself?
A few messages. If, you know, one is, you know, the definition of, you know, some people say like definition of insanity is like, you know, doing the same thing a thousand times and like expecting a different result. Women, if you're going to the nightclub and every time, you know, you're not finding a man or the man you're finding are douchebags, stop going to the nightclub. Like, there's more than one watering hole for meeting a man. I mean, the options are limitless. And I think, you know, we get blamed, well, all men are douchebags because you're going to the nightclub. So I think like maybe change the search, change the places where you're frequenting. Go to places that you like go to poetry circles, join a book club, go to like a live cooking class. I mean, things are opening up now. Like, open up your horizon or the possibilities of where you could meet a man. And try to align it with like your passions, because if you like cooking and you go to a cooking show and you meet a dude there who likes cooking, like, great, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I think most of the men that are like go go go, I mean, they're probably dealing with some deep-seated pain that they don't even know what the pain is. And you have to know that you might be not the victim of that, but like, you might trigger something in them that will cause them to react in that way. So, you know, where actually they're just protecting themselves from rejection. So like, there's a lot of mind is really crazy, and men are like, you know, always need to seem strong. They always need to seem like tough, and they, you know, that programming, you know, but it takes a special, very aware woman to kind of walk into a situation, I think, and like interact with a man, and maybe they don't get the result they're looking for, or he doesn't ask her out, and it's like, well, like, something's weird, and maybe he's trying to protect himself, or there's so many things going on. So I think like everyone just has to be more like not fixated on the expectation, and just surrender to whatever happens, but keep going, keep trying, keep shooting the shot. I think those are two like high level good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something that I want to dive into, which you said protecting themselves from rejection.
Yeah.
So is that prevalent among men? Like, tell us, for us women out there, we're like flies on the side of the wall right now, like just listening. Is that prevalent, and what is that like for you guys?
Totally. I mean, men don't talk about it to begin with.
Right.
But like,
right.
Who wants to go and be like, yo, I went to the club last night and got rejected? Like, no one wants to tell that story.
Right.
Or,
yeah.
You know, unless you have,
I called a girl and she hung up on me.
Yeah, you know, or I had, you know, I was closing sales and like the client, you know, didn't want to move forward. Like, no one wants to talk about that stuff.
Right.
When in reality, like, there's a lot of you know, feedback is beautiful, because you could like learn from feedback. You know, maybe like, you know, maybe you and I know that it was never meant to be to begin with, but if you can understand why, or like learn something from that rejection, it could be super beneficial. But men don't talk about it, and men,
right, because maybe for men the act of the rejection, they make it personal. It like says something about them.
Yeah, or you know what, actually, I digress. A lot of people talk about rejection, but it's like from a scarcity mindset kind of thing, where it's like, man, it's like venting. It's like, and no one wants to hear that dumping. Like, I've done it. I mean, you've done it. We've all done it. So maybe it's like a conversation that needs to start there. Like, how do you address rejection in a super empowering way? You know, that could be a whole other IG Live for another time.
Yeah. But no, you know, you make a really powerful point, which is, you know, something more can be going on for the person, and this is male and female, you know, but since we're talking about the male, you know, there could be fears that are coming up for him. There could be, you know, an inner turmoil that he might be experiencing that he hasn't been able to deal with yet, you know. And it's not about, for women out there, it's not about being the savior, because women tend to step into like, I'm the savior, I'm going to rescue.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not about that. It's really just about holding space and having and honoring that person for where they're at, meeting them where they're at, and just meeting them there. Like the quote by Rumi that says, I'll meet you in the field, you know, beyond all the mess, all the stuff, you know, I'll meet you in the middle of the field. And it's like, you know, holding that space instead of trying to fix or, you know, save or rescue, you know?
Yeah, or get something out of it, or whatever, just being there, which is hard for everyone. It's hard to just like be alone. Even. It's hard to be alone. We have to like, get busy with something. Like, the mind has to do something. yeah, the human condition, I guess.
And so beautiful. And so in your relationship with your significant other, how have you been able to, uh, you know, I guess come to terms with or exercise this aspect of being and just seeing each other for who you are and being holding a space for each other, you know?
We regularly give space to each other if, like, you know, one or the other like needs to vent or whatever, or is frustrated. Like we know, like, there is just a deep confidence that there's love at the center. There also is a deep confidence that sometimes we communicate and I'm giving her feedback and I'm telling her certain things that, you know, when boundaries are crossed or when rambling or whatever, like there just is that constant feedback. So I think that's like a super critical thing. We're also reading the same book right now. I think it's important to read similar things, similar articles. The book we're reading now is called Radiant Joy, Brilliant Love by a man named Clinton Callahan. That it talks about possibility management and like how you can create new possibilities. And so when you think about, like, when you're in relationship with someone and this idea of creating, like every interaction should ladder up to this idea of creating. So like, what is the relationship you're trying to create? What is the context of your communication? And so we like have, and she's a therapist, and this book is all about navigating feelings. So like, it's cool that she's reading it to improve her, you know, her understanding of the field and like our relationship and how you can navigate in space. It's very fascinating. It's like magic trifecta of like reading similar materials.
Yeah, yeah. And then it creates that space to open up about those topics and
Yeah.
connect on those topics on a deeper level and understand each other more. And yeah, that's beautiful, amazing. So just so you know, so you guys know out there, whoever is logging on, you'll be able to have access to this video and all the other videos that are going to be coming up for the Divine Masculine by going to my link tree, my link in my bio, and clicking Divine Masculine and entering your info there so that you can get this video with Ernesto and see the whole thing and see all the videos that are coming up this week and next week. I've had such a great time talking with Ernesto. So, Ernesto, with the last few minutes that we have,
yes,
what are some things that you want to make sure, you know, are talked about or said on this interview? I know you agreed to come on. You were probably thinking about certain things you wanted to talk about or things you wanted to share, or maybe just some insights that you've had from your own journey.
I think just keep shooting, keep trying. Women, dating, trying new projects, whatever it is. Like, you know, we get so caught up in what just happened and the rejection that just happened. We're just so caught up in the past. We're like almost perpetually living in the past. And I mean, the foundation of my book and my message of cross-pollination is that you have to just keep trying the next thing and keep trying and changing your approach. And so for everyone listening, like, you have to just keep trying, keep changing your approach, keep experimenting. And like, the answer, probably no one around you, your closest loved ones, won't have the answer. They won't want to help you. They can't help you. But you have to take responsibility for whatever it is you're trying to do, and you just have to do it. You have to do it, and you have, just like Nike says, just do it.
And let me ask you this. I just had this curiosity come up. So before you met your significant other, when you were out there, you know, on the scene, you can, if you will,
in the wild.
By the way,
in the COVID scene.
In the COVID scene. By the way, we were supposed to have a dating event tonight. I was hosting a dating event called Deeper Dating, and it was to help singles bridge that gap in the whole crazy online community. We canceled it, and it's going to be postponed for a later date. So for those of you who are coming tonight, just know that it's going to be postponed for a later date because, like, to Ernesto's point, it's about really getting yourself out there, but creating real connection and authentic connection with people. And so when you were on the scene, you know, looking for the one, you know, what were some of the attributes that you were looking for in another person? Like, and what are some of the attributes that you were living into in order to be what you wanted to see,
Right.
what you wanted to have?
The magical trifecta was someone who was open to talk about the deeper stuff, the feelings, the emotion, the hard stuff. My former partner wasn't super into that. Someone who's a go-getter and was a hustler. And that didn't mean she needed to have her own business, but someone who had like a lot of fire inside of her. And the third one was someone who just loved to travel and explore and see the world, and like had that same like cross-pollinated attitude, like someone who just wanted to put herself out there always. And it's weird. Timing is very weird when you meet people and you never expect it, and it's like, oh, but you just broke up with. I actually had a very short-term relationship in between my current partner and my like prior significant relationship, and we actually like ended very quickly before COVID started, and then like maybe 5 weeks later I met my current girlfriend, and it was like, yeah, you just broke up, like you must not be ready. And it's like, no, like yeah, it just happens. Like sometimes it happens, sometimes like you can't really control the timing, and you can't really let the narrative drive your decision. You have to, like, again, what I said earlier, like you have to focus on your gut. And sometimes you meet someone and like you have this crazy feeling, and that's great. That's a good gut instinct. You can't let that fairy tale feeling like define the reality, but you know that like that's the thing, that's action you have to take in that direction.
Yeah. And also like the old paradigm of like timing and oh wait, you just got out of something. It's like it's like, no, it could really just be that I'm ready for a relationship.
Yeah, it could be. But people choose to sometimes be fixated on the narrative. But anyway.
And also being ready, the timing of being ready to communicate that, because I'm sure when you came into that relationship, you were ready to communicate. I'm open to being in a relationship. I want this.
Yeah. The timing is everything. I think we both pretty like quickly knew we were in it to win it.
Yeah. And then you had done the work enough to be at the stage where when you did find someone, that you could articulate that and say, hey, I'm ready to be in a relationship. Because ladies out there, just so you know, when a man is not ready to be in a relationship, he will not be in a relationship. Like when a man wants to be in a relationship, he will let you know. Is that right, Ernesto? What do you have to say about that?
I agree. Ladies out there, don't let a man take you on for a ride. Like, you know, he's not going to be ready after the first date or the second date or the third, but like you got to have a gut feeling, like, is this going somewhere? And if it doesn't work out, look, you learned a lot about yourself in those 3 dates that, again.
But honestly speaking, if he's not ready and he doesn't tell you anything, it's because he's, because when you were ready, you articulated that, right? You let the person know.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think that's key.
Definitely.
Being open and communicating what it is you need and what it is you want, what it is you're ready to create in your life.
Yeah, and I think there's a narrative about like the crazy woman who like sat me down and like demanded we be in a relationship. There's an approach, like obviously communication is such a key skill in how you have that conversation or bring up that elephant in the room, but there's always a way of how you ask things.
Ooh, we have someone who wants to come on and ask a question. Shiny Shears wants to come on and ask a question. Are you open to that, Ernesto? With the last 5 minutes we have?
Who's Shiny Shears? Okay, let's do it.
Shiny Shears. All right, let's bring her on. All right, Shiny Shears, come on and ask your question. You got 5 minutes with Ernesto here. Let's see if she can come on.
What's up, people?
All right, there she is.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
So there's better sound. So
beautiful.
I guess the question that I want to ask, because this happened to me twice, is so I'm like, okay, there must be like something that I'm repeating. Okay, like falling for your friends, right? So whether the guy falls for you or the girl falls for him, right? or same sex, because it can happen same sex too. Right, to include all the humans in the world. So yeah, it's happened to me twice. I've fallen from my guy friends, and it gets like a little weird after, and we overcome that. It's cool, but like what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
I've fallen for my girlfriends before,
Okay.
and it happens.
Okay.
And it's never easy, especially when it's not, you know, when it's not
Reciprocated.
That was actually, I don't know if you were listening earlier, but like in high school, I fell for all my girlfriends, and I asked all of them out, and I got rejected by all of them. And it actually led to me like questioning my sexuality, my ability to pick up women, like all these things, which led me into the pickup world, and ultimately finding the confidence in myself. But do you search in other places, or do you do your guy friends give you like signs that that activate something in you to fall for them?
Yeah, both. I do have other circles that I'm a part of. I guess like these in particular are into like the self-development. So I enjoy that initially from them. Like, okay, they're working on themselves. This is awesome. And they've already reached a lot of higher levels of themselves. So it's like great. You know, you function from a higher self already. So like I have a lot more to relate to you in comparison to maybe like going out and like meeting someone at dinner or something like that, you know, because I eat like a dinosaur, so I'm like, oh, they like that, you know, in comparison to someone who's like, oh, okay, cool, they're doing this workshop, you know.
So do you like the guy, or do you like the fact that he's into self-development?
Both. Yeah, both. It's happened. Yeah. I mean, and it's okay too, because I have put dating in the back burner for 6 years, so I guess I'm also functioning from like the safe space. Like, oh, it's like safe because they're my friends, and like let me just kind of like go with it, you know. Because of that, like if I get rejected, then it's like okay, it's my friend kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to like play with me right now, kind of thing. This is how I function. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this is a conversation for again another whole podcast. But like, ironically, I think the people around us, the closest people around us, sometimes can't help us get to our goals. And like for you, like you're looking for a partner. Maybe no one in your network knows a man that's suitable for you, but that's why you have to put yourself out there in these book clubs and in these, you know, dating events,
Cooking classes,
taking
dancing,
classes, like
poetry,
whatever. You have to go alone and stand in your power and be like, yo, this is me and this is what I believe, and share that, and share what you believe, and share what you're trying to create, and hopefully, you know, there's some feedback and the guy likes that or whatever, and you go, but I, you know, you have to sometimes do this alone. Like sometimes like you won't have ladies night at the cooking thing, or like you won't, and you know, I said it earlier, you go to the bar and you're like complaining about all the men that suck there. It's like, yo, you're at a nightclub, what do you expect, you know? Everyone's out there.
Yeah.
No, you're not finding your husband at a nightclub. It happens, but
right.
You know. Was that helpful?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, most definitely. I also function from a place of humor and comedy because it's my coping mechanism. So on the times that I have done that, they see me as the home girl. So it's like, oh, I can be interested in you. You're my girl. Like, you're my home girl kind of thing, you know? Like, you're my dog. Like, I can laugh with you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Which is
or
great.
Jewel, you know? But then that happens. It's like, oh, no, but you're my home girl. Like, I can't see you like that. You're my home girl. And I'm like, okay, homeboy.
Yeah, I think this is probably one for you. Like, how do you call it feminine energy into your humor?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, to Ernesto's point, I think it's important to get yourself out there in other circles. And I love what he said, like stand in your power and just represent yourself and speak your truth and speak what you're up to. And you will magnetize to you what is meant for you instead of having to go like, you know, like fall in love with a guy, with a friend of yours because he just happens to be in your space and it feels right and it seems right, but it might not be. If he hasn't told you, like we were talking about earlier with communication, if he hasn't clearly communicated that he wants something, it's probably that he doesn't, you know, because men are very clear when it comes to that. They're very black and white, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just building yourself back up and having the confidence to go into these scenarios where you can meet new people and speak your truth, and if they like what they're hearing, they will attract themselves to you. And for the feminine and masculine energy, girl, you know, we gotta do a sidebar. We gotta talk about that more deeply because you know I got you, queen.
Yes, you do.
Thank
Bring
you
us.
so much, Erica.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
for
I
your
appreciate your
question.
wisdom.
Of course.
Yes, we love you. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, let me see how I can figure this out here. We have Erica. How do I?
I guess they have to hang up. I have no idea.
Let me see. How do I add or
Do I get out of it?
does it show there?
Um,
Oh, it doesn't show. That's weird.
to get me out?
Does it show on your end?
No. It just shows like,
Oh, here we go.
yeah.
All right. Love you, Erica. Mwah. Thank you so much for your
Hey
question.
guys, I appreciate you.
Love you. Okay, we're back. All right. Well, we've reached the hour. Wow, that was incredible. That was such a great advice you gave her, and so on the cuff, you know, just off the cuff. And thank you for being flexible and for allowing that space for that. I'm sure she got a lot out of it. So grateful. For those out there who are just joining, you're going to be seeing interviews like this with Ernesto all week long with other divine masculine men. If you're interested in receiving the recordings of this video that we did today and also the ones that are coming during the week, go to my link tree, go to my link in my bio, click on the divine masculine, and you will get access to all of these videos. Ernesto, I'm so honored and grateful that you came on today and spoke with us. It was just so amazing and refreshing. I think a lot of people got a lot of insights out there. And thank you for being so vulnerable and authentic with your story.
Of course. Thank you, Mio, for having me.
And where can people find you? So what are you up to and where can people find you?
My Instagram is Mandowsky. I have a website for my company, crosspollination.design.com. It's kind of a handful, but we'll include that, I guess, in the show notes. And yeah, my book is on Amazon. It's called Newbie, Newbee. And I think that is all.
Amazing. And just so you guys know, at the end of the month, I'm going to be doing a deep dive workshop for the Divine Feminine for women. And so if you sign up to get the Divine Masculine series, you'll get a free ticket to that workshop. So make sure to check that out. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be incredible. So everything we're learning from the Divine Masculine, we're going to turn it around and do a deep dive in the feminine energy. So all these questions that came up today, we'll go in deeper with them. And we're really going to get a deep view on how to balance and harmonize our energies within us and also with those around us. So Ernesto, I just want to say thank you again for being here. You are amazing. We hope that your book explodes and reaches everyone around the world. And we're so excited about your projects with Miming Made and the other organization. And I look forward to collaborating with you again and seeing you around town, being your divine masculine self.
Definitely. Take care, Mio.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ernesto.
Bye-bye.
Love you. We love you guys. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Talk to you soon. Bye.